On.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. How are you? Thank you so much for joining us for our Facebook Live. We do this every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, because I just so want to, connect with you guys. I want to educate you and answer your questions live. And today I wanted to talk about NES Health, NES Health. It's a bioenergetic program that I've been on for almost 2 years now. And I just had so many profound changes happen on this program that I, decided to start offering it to my clients, and have gotten amazing results. We put hundreds of people on NES Health. My dogs are on NES Health. I talk about that a lot. And my dogs are doing amazing. I had a 13-year-old dog that just sprung back to life like a puppy and resolved a lot of health issues. And I continue to be amazed by NES Health and by bioenergetics and approaching the body energetically and addressing health issues energetically, as opposed to, physically manipulating the body with, supplements or medications or what have you. There's a place for that. But I think that a lot of people who are very, very ill, and many people that are frustrated or not helped but with supplements or medications, what do they do? What means can we use to help them? And so bioenergetics holds promise for those. And I wanted to talk to you guys today about NES Health. So Melissa Hall here is one of our NES Health practitioners at Myers Detox, and we have four now. We have Melissa Hall, we have Diana White, we have Michelle Elgersma, who is a veterinarian that sees pets. If you have your pets, your turtle or your cat or your horse, what have you. And we also have some other practitioners that are in training right now. They're going to be seeing clients. But I wanted to have a chat with Melissa to answer any questions you guys had about NES Health and explain basically what bioenergetics is. And so don't hesitate if you have any questions, anything that we're not clarifying, please leave a comment. We're going to answer all of your questions live. We're not going anywhere until all of your questions are answered. But that's what we're here for. We want to educate you about NES Health, and we want to, help you guys get better. And so I've been helped a lot with NES Health, and I want to help you as well with bioenergetics. And I also host the Supercharged podcast with Harry Massey, who's the founder and CEO of neshealth.com. So you can check that out on my website, myersdetox.com, to further your education about bioenergetics. So Michelle, tell us a little bit about what exactly is bioenergetics.
Yeah, so bioenergetics to me is about working with our biofield, which is basically mutually synergistic. It's a very special relationship with our biochemistry. It's the organizing field that coordinates and keeps all of that in homeostasis when it's working well. And anything that's happening biochemically is mirrored in our bioenergetic field and vice versa. And so what I love about where NES Health comes in is that so many people are working so hard to restore their biochemistry, but if the field is compromised significantly enough, it just cannot recover on its own. And without NES, there really is no other way. So And so for so many people who have worked so hard to restore their health, but just not been able to get there, NES is that missing link for them.
Yeah, and it's a way to explain it, perhaps, is that, we have our body's energy field, and if our energy field, there's blocks in our body's energy field, say in your pancreas, for instance, then your body isn't able to communicate to your pancreas to send it instruction, so to speak. And then you have because you have an energetic breakdown in communication, you then have a physical breakdown in the functioning of your pancreas. And then people get diabetes and all kinds of health issues of that nature. And so it's a lot easier to work in the body's energetic field to correct issues than it is to, and I think more effective than trying to manipulate it physically, say with taking hormones or taking drugs and medications and things like that really don't work all that well in a lot of different instances.
Right. Yeah, I think you said it perfectly. And when we get these blockages, it's almost like, those perpetual motion machines that you see where the first domino falls and it'll just keep going until you stop it. So once you have an energy blockage, it's going to have downstream impacts, and then those are going to have downstream impacts. And NES helps us stop that and repair it.
Yes. And so one way I like to talk about NES health is one way that our body communicates is physically. So we communicate with hormones, we can communicate with neurotransmitters, we communicate with just various chemicals in our body, chemical messengers, and that's great. But that doesn't explain all of the ways that our body communicates. So there's trillions of transactions going on in our body at any given time. And the ways that our body physically communicates cannot account, the nerve impulses and things like that, cannot account for the number of transactions that are happening in our body. And that's because the majority of communication is happening in our body's energetic field. And so we really want to assess our body's energetic field to see where those stops in communication are happening, the energetic blocks, so to speak, and then clear those energetic blocks. And then you restore functioning, you restore communication to your body, and then your body's metabolism works so much better. So a lot of people's different issues clear up. For me, the most notable symptom right away was I was sleeping a lot better. I had a little bit more energy. My brain was functioning better. I was in a lot better mood. I was very surprised by that. And, we focus here at admirersdetox.com on detoxification of heavy metals and metals that cause fatigue. But a lot of people come to us, although are also depressed, anxious. They're maybe, not feeling so well emotionally. And NES Health provides an amazing way to address people's trauma and mood issues and things of that nature to get them feeling better emotionally. And that's what I really like about it. I know a lot of our clients are female, a lot of our audience, 80% of my audience is female. And we're always looking for ways to feel better and to address ourselves emotionally and to, pursue emotional health and mental health. And that's something that I've, been a favorite pastime of mine. We all want to feel good. But I think there's a lot of things that, traumas in our past and things that happen to us when we're maybe not emotionally ready to deal with those things that scar us and that cause emotional traumas. And these produce these energetic blocks in our bodies and produce health issues, pain syndromes, all different types of health issues that we think are physical in nature, but actually can have an emotional component to them. And what's wonderful about NES is that it addresses a lot of these emotional traumas. And when you clear those, you feel better emotionally and your depression lifts, and you can have surprising results physically as well when that happens.
Yeah, absolutely. The thing about energy is that when we're well, it's moving and flowing. We never want it to be stagnant. We never want it to be blocked. As you mentioned, our nervous system, as amazing as it is, just cannot keep up with those trillions of transactions. It's not fast enough. It doesn't have the capacity for that. And every cell in our body isn't innervated. So where is it getting the information from? It's coming from our field. Mm-hmm. And I like to simplify it and just talk to people about a big communication network where everybody is a team and they have to stay in close, constant communication with one another. They get out of sync, and we can all relate to feeling isolated at times and feeling like we're trying to make decisions without all the information. We definitely don't want our bodies doing that, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And so can you talk a little bit about maybe some of the improvements some of your clients have had emotionally doing NES Health?
Oh, absolutely. The mind screen is my favorite. I'm, as you said, we all have lots of traumas in our life, and that's part of living and growing, but sometimes they get stuck. That energy gets stuck inside us, and it causes a lot of problems. One of the most simple things I can think of is someone I haven't had a chance to scan yet. I just recommended some feel good. She's under a tremendous amount of pressure and stress, both at home and at work. And I sent her some peace, some chill, and some ESR. And she called me the next day and said, I cannot believe I feel like a whole different person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and ESR is emotional stress release.
Yes.
And that's an amazing infoceutical that you can take. And these are available at the store.myersdetox.com. You can buy these without doing a NES Health program. There's about, I think, about 15 infoceuticals that are called feel goods that you can just purchase that help you to feel better. But the emotional stress release is great because it really helps if people are having tough time on NES, they're having detox symptoms or some just traumas coming up and out. The ESR can really help to, bring that down. And I'll take that if I feel anxious. I use that one, fairly regularly because admittedly, I mean, all of us, we're under a lot of stress,
Oh, we are.
I'm a single mother, and I'm trying to do the best for my child and help all you guys and have all my clients and all the things that I want to accomplish and my goals. And sometimes it just gets overwhelming. So.
Exactly. I think of ESR as like a plunger for like a clogged pipe, because when we get stressed out, that stress will manifest somewhere in our body and the energy just starts piling up behind it. And then we start feeling overwhelmed in addition. And that ESR is just like a plunger. It comes in, it clears the clog, gets things moving again, and we can calm down and process things. And as you said, if we leave those clogs there, they're just going to grow and multiply, and we could end up with some more serious issues there. So we want to keep things moving. So yeah, so that's one of the smaller examples of some of the emotional things. But I had a client who was severely depressed her whole life and tried everything and was basically ready to give up. Just said, "There's nothing else out there for me, and if this is the way my life is going to be, I'm ready to just say I'm done." And she's doing fantastic. So, and it's interesting when you go through the scan. I mentioned the mind screen, but in traditional Chinese medicine, all the organs are related to our emotions. And so sometimes, like when we see a liver detox, we're looking at anger, or the kidney, we're looking at fear. They're not always biochemical.
Yeah, I did a liver, it's called Liver Driver. It's an infoceutical called Liver Driver. When I first started, that came up for me on the second or third scan, and I started taking that. And I was in bed in the fetal position for a couple of days. I was just not a happy camper because it was just releasing a lot of emotions, negative emotions, and purging that, which the liver does store anger and negative emotions like that. And not to deter anyone from NES Health. I mean, when you're doing a NES Health program, you do have to be aware you do have emotional stuff that comes up. You could have detox reactions and things that, you could take ESR and reduce those detox reactions. I just wasn't thinking at the time of taking the ESR, but I had this reaction with NES, but you almost want to welcome that. Yes. Because you are purging this stuff. You are getting rid of it, but it has to come up and out. So I don't want to freak anybody out, but I was aware that this was happening because Liver Driver has a little, warning with it that it can make you a little bit depressed. And I have found this with a couple other friends that tried it, but I don't get depressed now when I take Liver Driver because I think I processed through that. But yeah, so not to freak anybody out.
No, like you said, you almost have to welcome it because it's either, be 3 days in bed in the fetal position or something worse, down the road. It's not like it's going to just disappear magically on its own. Or
be depressed all the time, Exactly. That's the alternative. So tell us what are infoceuticals for anyone that's like, what is an infoceutical? I wish I had one with me here, but it's a little bottle of liquid. It's minerals. And they're just drops that you take. They're part of the protocol when you do a NES scan. Actually, I'm explaining it. So I'll explain it first and I'll let you explain it. So it's a protocol that you do when you do a NES scan, and they tell you the infoceuticals you should take. But what exactly is in the infoceuticals?
Yeah, so they start with distilled water, which is kind of known as dead water. We don't want any memory in it. We want it basically to be a blank slate. So scientists call it dead water. anybody who's seen like the Masaru Emoto experiments, and water holds, memory and makes the beautiful crystals. We want nothing in the beginning, and then we put those colloids in there, plant minerals, to create structured water, which basically creates a liquid crystal. And I liken it to like the silicon chip in your hard drive. A crystal is a crystal, whether it's solid or liquid. It means that it can store information, and then basically the information is imprinted into the infoceutical through NES's proprietary process. And we have about 80 different infoceuticals that we can work with, to restore and shift the energy field. So basically, every day you take some drops of your protocol, and that allows you the ability to shift your field. It gives you a blueprint. So the cells that need it will take it up, and the cells that don't, nature's very efficient, so they just won't pay any attention to it. And it gives you a blueprint for wellness. Because what often happens when you are exposed to toxins and heavy metals and emotional, I say toxins can be biochemical or emotional, it's all the same, is that, it damages the field, and it cannot restore itself. So it's kind of like rebooting your hard drive, or, restoring from backup all the information that we were given, when we were created at birth, so that you have everything you need to function again.
Yeah, what's so neat about NES is like the infoceuticals are essentially like correct operating instructions that are fed to your body. And what's different about like Zytoscan or some of the other bioenergetic modalities out there is that NES Health spent about 30 years, Dr. Peter Fraser from Australia and Harry Massey, both of them mapped out a perfectly functioning body field. So a perfectly functioning liver, a perfectly functioning spleen, and a pancreas. And so they created these infoceuticals that have correct operating instructions for a perfectly functioning liver or what have you, whatever the infoceutical is, and feeds your body those correct operating instructions. And nobody else has that. There's no other bioenergetic company that has that. This is decades of research that went into this. And I think people get really profound results with them. It's amazing. And before we get into that, we're going to talk about some of the success stories and some of my own personal, just amazing results with them and some of our clients. But I want to get to some of the questions that we have. I'm blind as a bat, so I have to put my glasses on to answer the questions. Put my goggles on. So Misty, hi, how are you? You're always on the Facebook Live. Thanks so much for coming. And Maria, thank you, from Virginia. And so, oh, great. Christine, you have your Pure Harmony pendant on. Yeah, I have mine on too. This is another bioenergetic device by Robert Marking.
Gorgeous.
Never leave home without it. And so, Misty, so I'm so interested in this technology. Is it easy to use? Does it require a class to learn how to use it? Yeah, you could say that. So to be a client, it does not require you to learn anything about it. You just do a scan. So we send you a scanner. I wish I had all this stuff here with me. I just spaced out on that. So we send you a scanner. It's kind of like a little mouse. And you hook it up to your computer, download some software. It takes a minute. And then you do a scan of your body. That takes 5 seconds. And then that scan is sent to your practitioner. You book an appointment online to review the scan. We do it on Zoom, but you can, it's really, really easy. And then you review the scan with your practitioner, and then you're sent the protocol. And you can do everything in the comfort of your own home. And this is how Harry Massey envisioned this company, because he was sick in bed with chronic fatigue for 7 years, and he really had a tough time even getting up to go to a doctor's office to get treatment. So he wanted to come up with a system that anyone could do, no matter how sick they are in bed or anywhere in the world. You can do it all remotely. There's definitely practitioners that you can come into their office and see them, and you can do My Health treatments, and we'll get into what a My Health is later. But yeah, so to become a practitioner, however, you have to go to training in Tampa, Florida, and you do about an 8-module online course. And I'll put some links on like how to be a practitioner here in the show notes for you guys. So let me just get these. I should have had these all ready, but I didn't. So I apologize about that.
I can.
But yeah, so let me just paste this in here. So if you want to learn more about being a practitioner, you can actually get sent a free trial. You can get a system sent to you as a free trial for 60 days to use. So I'm going to put this thing, become a practitioner, and here's the link to do that. And so a few other questions. Blaze, so do you need a scanner if you purchase the MyHealth, or do you think for best results you should use both? You only need a MyHealth. MyHealth can do scans. And so Melissa, why don't you explain to us what the MyHealth is? It's a little device. It looks like a phone.
That one I actually have.
Yeah, you have it. Perfect. Perfect.
This is the MyHealth. Mine has a nice little protective sleeve on it. It's if you see a picture of it and it's all white, it's just because mine has a silicone sleeve so I don't drop my little baby.
Yes.
And you can get a sleeve too. This is a pulsed EMF biofeedback device. It basically does the same thing as infoceuticals. It's just that the delivery method is different. So rather than taking the drops, the information is emitted from the device, and you can use it in what we call broadcast mode, in which the electrodes are not on. You can still hold it to your body if you want to, but you don't have to. The information will still be coming out, and that's sometimes good in like hard to reach places. You can just hold it over your heart or your solar plexus, and your heart's electromagnetic field will disseminate that information for you. So if you need to try to get to like your thoracic, your mid back or something, you don't have to try to kink your shoulder doing that. It has about 7 different types of programs on it. One of them coordinates with scan data, but all of the others do not. So basically, if you purchase the device, we give you about 50 different protocols you can use for everything to digestive problems, headaches, muscle pain, nerve pain. And then you can just run those at will, or you can make up your own protocols once you get savvy with it.
Yes. Yeah. And I love my MyHealth. I use my MyHealth every single day. I mean, it's just amazing. Yes. And there's a little setting for sleep. So I'll put that on, and it really helps me to go to sleep really, really quickly, because usually my mind is going, there's like all kinds of things I'm thinking about and articles I want to write, and just the mind just keeps going when I'm actually really tired. And so the sleep setting just feeds information to my brain that tells me that it changes your brain waves. So it changes your alpha and delta waves that tell you that it's time to sleep. And so it communicates that to my brain, and I go to sleep really, really quickly. So where it might take me 20 or sometimes 30 minutes to go to sleep, I'm out in like 5 minutes. So I really, really like that feature. And I also sleep a lot deeper. So the first time that I used that setting, I slept deeper. I had the best night's sleep that I'd had in a really long time. And so I was really impressed by that. And it's great for pain also. I had a lot of lower back pain for about 6 years since my daughter was born. The second she popped out, I decided I needed to do some yoga. And I just hurt my lower back. I mean, the second I started to work out again after my pregnancy, and I had lower back pain for years of different types. And I used a MyHealth for about a week on my lower back, and I have not had any pain since. Yep. I mean, there's a number of different things I was doing, but that was one of the things that after I did that, I did not have any pain. Mm-hmm. And I don't suffer from pain anymore. If I wake up with a stiff neck, I'll use the MyHealth on it, and it just completely releases your neck and your muscles, and it's an amazing device for pain.
Absolutely. And that's when it's better to use the on-body mode, and the electrodes are on. You're getting all the other information that you were getting in the broadcast mode, but you're also getting, the electrodes that are working. And that's when it's really good to use it on-body when you're having pain or muscle cramping. So although I had a client come in, she had had back pain for 6 years. She couldn't stand for longer than 10 minutes. She tried everything, and she wasn't really comfortable. She was in so much pain. She said, I don't really want you to touch my back. So I used it in broadcast mode. She has been pain-free for 7 months now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing. Yeah. And I just hear so many things like that. I hear so many stories like that of people who have had just unbelievable results using NES Health. Can you talk about a handful of your clients and some of your stories? I mean, when you go to the training, I mean, everyone in that training, the 80 people in that room have their own story. I mean, it's really an unbelievable thing to go to training and hear all those people's stories and why they're there and why they want to bring NES to the world. And I was no different.
Yeah, in the same way. NES was my savior. That's why I'm a practitioner.
Yeah. So tell us your story. Tell us your results.
Yeah. You can call it what you want. I'm not big into diagnoses, but basically I had a physical collapse. And, at times I couldn't see well. I couldn't digest food. I'd call it sleep, but I was really more like unconscious, sometimes 20 hours a day. I went from graduating first in my class in engineering to not being able to do like simple math problems, just like just a total collapse. And, I was already what I thought was really healthy, eating healthy, living a healthy lifestyle. But I definitely have traumas in my past and definitely had periods in my life where I wasn't good to myself. Biochemically, I was trying all kinds of different things, and I did get myself to where I was kind of upright again, but I was not restored. And just through the grace of the universe, I stumbled across Harry Massey doing a talk, and it was shared online. And I just immediately knew that this was going to be the thing that was going to help me. I couldn't even go to sleep that night. I was so excited. And 2 days later, I had a scan and started my infoceuticals. And the next week I went to NES was having their annual convention for practitioners. And I went and I bought the system. And, it took some time. But I knew from the first treatment cycle that I was getting better.
So how long was it on your road to recovery? Because I think today they just want quick. Sometimes people will do NES for like a couple months, but like, oh, that doesn't work. And then they'll stop. So how long was your journey to wellness to get better?
I'd say that after 6 months, I could see substantial differences. Like when I was sick, if you had, let's say today is Tuesday, right? If you had said, hey, Melissa, do you want to go to lunch on Friday? I'd be like, I don't know. I'll have to tell you like 15 minutes before if I'm going to be able to make it or not. I noticed that and I get really anxious about it because I wasn't sure like how I would feel, if I would feel good enough. And I started noticing 6 months later that when people asked me, I didn't have that anxiety and I was able to commit to things in the future. But it was a good 12 months before, I really feel like my field was rebuilt enough that things were starting to click and my field was really starting to heal itself. Because I think we get to that point where we heal enough things that the field's like, oh, I got this. And it starts, doing a lot on its own as well. And I think it took me about a year. I mean, I was on infoceuticals much longer than that, just because, anybody who's been sick in that way, you're just terrified that you'll get sick again. Right. And I just never wanted to go off. So, and I still continue to use them today. I'll never be without them.
Yeah, I won't either. I don't see myself ever going off NES because I definitely had a period for about 4 months before a couple of weeks ago. Like 4 months, I was just dealing with a lot of stuff. I was busy and I was just stressed and I just wasn't taking care of myself, which happens. Yeah. And I was really not feeling well. And then I'm gonna take my glasses off. And then I went back on NES, and then I've been on NES for about 3 weeks now. I'm feeling a lot better, a lot more relaxed, a lot less stressed. And so what I remember when I first got on NES, I was able to manage my stress a lot better. I just felt better. I was sleeping better. I had a little bit more energy, a little bit better mood. And I'm feeling that again, So it reminds me, okay, this is why I'm on NES. Because sometimes when you're on NES, it's very, very subtle. The change is going to be very, very subtle, and it can be going on for weeks and you don't really feel an uptick. But, healing, it takes time. It's just not something that you're going to take an infoceutical and typically like, oh my God, I feel unbelievable. not typically how healing happens. I don't know if any of you guys might have made that connection yet. Like, hey, if you eat salad for 2 months, you're not like, oh, I feel unbelievable. It's just those little choices you make every day over time add up. And it's the same with the infoceuticals. After 3 weeks or 2 months, you're not, a lot of people are not going to just be seeing stars and rainbows and unicorns. Because of that, it takes longer than that. So I really want to caution people, if you are interested in trying NES Health and getting on your own program, don't expect just your whole life to change in like 30 days. Though a lot of people do have pretty amazing results in 30 days. A lot of people do. And the sicker the people are, the better the results are. Like the farther they come, the fastest when they start doing this. And I've seen some unbelievable turnarounds in people in 30 days. But for the most part, we want to set some realistic expectations that it's going to take time. So I encourage you to do it for at least 6 months and, compare day one to, the end of that 6 months.
Yeah, exactly. I started having to just kind of look and see, because I had some profound shifts later on, but in the beginning it was just slow and steady progress and just this deep knowing that I was getting better, which I hadn't had up until that point. But yeah, it took me kind of sitting down and sort of comparing where I was before and where I was then. And then I made a note of like keeping a journal every month and starting to kind of chart my progress. But I think people do sort of get used to, especially if you're used to taking medications, right? They just kind of, I say they bind and gag the symptoms, and you're used to that immediate response and thinking that that's healing. But it's not. It's just really suppressing, that voice that your body's trying to use to tell you that something's wrong. And NES I tell people it's the long game, because we're going after root cause.
Yeah. And that can take a long time. There was a woman in my training who's a naturopathic doctor who had sinus infections for 18 years. And she started using NES, and she said they weren't clearing up right away. But she said about the 18-month mark, she had just this drainage of her sinuses for 3 days straight. Her sinuses were draining and draining and draining. And after that, she never had another sinus infection. But it took her 18 months to get to that point.
Yeah, the body has to build a foundation when it's repairing the field. Like nature's so efficient, it won't try to do anything that can't stand on its own. And so it says, yeah, I know that's going on over there, but I need to build this foundation first.
Yeah.
And that's the deep and lasting, healing that you're getting.
Yeah, so let's answer a couple of questions here.
Sure, let's do.
And I want to let everyone know, if you want to try your own NES Health program, I'm going to give you guys $75 off a scanner and 1-hour consultation. So I'm going to put that here in the notes. So get $75 off. If I can find the dollar sign, get $75 off with coupon code Facebook 75. So that's just for you guys listening on Facebook, the Facebook Live right now. And then Facebook 75. And then I will send you the link to go to in the store as well, and so that you guys can try that. And so let's see. So Christine Masterjohn, so how do you get a scan? So if you click on the link that I just posted in the comments and use the coupon code, it's $2.99 to get sent a scanner, which looks like a little mouse, and then you get a 1-hour interpretation, a consult, to go over your scan and explain a little bit about NES, and you just do it at home. It's super, super easy. And so Laurie, so would you go over the protocol using NES? So we talked a little bit about infoceuticals and the My Health. So you just showed the My Health. You can get started with just the infoceuticals. You don't have to purchase a My Health. They're a little bit expensive, but really worth it, because I think you make better progress using a My Health. I really can imagine doing this without a My Health, but we just encourage you just to get started. Usually start with about 4 infoceuticals, sometimes less. And the infoceuticals are not terribly expensive. They're about $33 each. So you do your scan, you're usually recommended 4 infoceuticals that address the priorities that the software has identified in the scan. And then you take those once a day. You just take the drops, start with about 6 or 9 drops in your water all together. You drink it down. That's it. That's the protocol. It couldn't be simpler.
Yeah.
And, but I recommend using a My Health, but just start with the infoceuticals first, do that for a couple of months, get your head around it, get comfortable. And then you can opt to do a My Health later if you like.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, we do 4-week treatment cycles, right? So you'll take the infoceuticals for 4 weeks, and then when we rescan, we hope to see that those priorities have shifted and everything is looking good there, and your body's on to the next set of priorities. But if you have one that needs a little more time, then we can continue to work with that one, and then we'll layer in the new ones. You're not like held back because not everything, was able to clear.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Yeah, you want to do a scan about every 3 to 4 weeks, and then you get a new set of infoceuticals, because the infoceuticals, they work really fast.
Mm-hmm.
I call them infos. They work really, really quickly to clear the issues in the scan. And then you want to do a rescan and then take the new set of infoceuticals, and you just keep correcting in that way. And so, Mike, I'm an LMT. Can I use this in my practice? Of course. There's practitioners from all walks of life. There's medical doctors that use this. There's chiropractors. There's naturopathic doctors, acupuncturists, massage therapists, physical therapists. I do detoxification, but I found that in working with my clients that I had some clients that I worked with for a couple of years, and then I got them on NES Health, and they just made so strides in their ability to detox. They addressed their health issues. They were feeling better. But for me, my goal is to detox people of heavy metals. And a lot of people have metabolic issues. They have absorption issues. They have sensitivities where they can't take any supplements. So for me, NES Health helped resolve those issues and get people's bodies working better, get their body detoxing better. So I use it in that respect. We use that on the Myers Detox Protocol, which is my heavy metal detox program, to get people detoxing better. And that's why we recommend people do it when they're doing this program. And on the Heavy Metals Summit that I just hosted with Dr. Christine Schaffner and Dr. Dietrich Klinghardt, we had 80,000 people to that event. And I was so excited because we had a whole day devoted to how to detox bioenergetically, and using a lot of different modalities to do that, to accomplish that. And NES Health is definitely one of those. And Harry Massey spoke on the summit. And it's something that no one has really talked about before, but it's you have to get your body's energy field functioning correctly to have the best detox experience possible, and to make it as comfortable as possible and most effective as possible. And in doing that, you also correct a lot of irritating symptoms that people present with that make them seek out health practitioners in the first place. So yes, you can use it as an LMT.
Yes, I'm an LMT.
Great. Yes, and so Jody, thanks for joining us. So how many infoceuticals do you both like to use on an average after a scan? So I use 4. I used to use 6, but you can certainly do 6. But I'm just doing 4 now. I'm kind of keeping it a little bit more simple, and I do 4 ERs is what they're called on the My Health. So when you do a scan, you're told 4 points on the My Health to utilize, and you do those set 2 minutes each for each point. They're called ERs. So I do 8 minutes a day of the My Health, and then I do the 4 infoceuticals.
Yep. Yeah, I think it's, the number of infoceuticals, I think, can be like, if you want to try to go faster and your body has the ability to go faster, because whenever we make change, no matter if it's biochemical detoxing or bioenergetic detoxing, it takes resources from the body. So we can only work, as fast as your body has sort of the energy to spend on that. But if you have enough energy, we can use 6. And that can sometimes help you move faster, or you can kind of wait for that ripple effect that we talked about. If you're using those 4, eventually your field, will put enough pieces back together to have that ripple effect.
Yeah, and some clients come to us, they're so sick, and they're really, really sensitive. Like if you're super sensitive to supplements, you're probably going to be sensitive to the infoceuticals. And some people can only take 1 drop. I mean, I had one client, he took 1 drop of an infoceutical and he was in bed all day. I mean,
Right.
that's a very extreme example that
Yes.
almost never happens, but it does happen. But some people are just so sensitive to them, they have a really big change, be it positive or negative.
Yeah, the great thing about that, though, is that typically they can build up their tolerance to the infaceuticals, and then they end up being able to be biochemically more robust as well.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, so I don't want to scare anyone. I'm just giving you examples. But you're not going to be in bed all day with an empaceutical, but I assure you they work. I mean, I know there's skeptics out there, or people are going on Quack Watch or whatever, reading negative things, and there's always going to be unhappy people with any type of protocol. I think a lot of times when people are unhappy, they typically weren't doing the program correctly. They weren't taking enough drops, or they weren't following the instructions, or they weren't patient enough, and they expected some results in 3 weeks and didn't get them. And it's hooey. It's all nonsense. But there's way too many people that are getting amazing results doing this. There's thousands of practitioners around the world, and there's a reason for that. And so I want to talk a little bit answer some more questions here. So Misty, so this sounds similar to quantum biofeedback. Are either of you familiar with that technology? I'm not personally. There's a lot of different ways to work with energy medicine and work with the body quantumly. I haven't personally heard of that one. Have you, Melissa? I haven't? No.
Mhm.
Yeah, I get asked that question a lot. I don't always know the answer about how certain technologies compare to NES, but that's why I'm doing this supercharged podcast, to explore a lot of different bioenergetic modalities and energy medicine modalities, to educate you guys and myself about different ways we can heal the body energetically and with energy medicine. And so Wendy, I've had a NES scanner on demo from NES Health for several weeks. Congratulations. And I'm enjoying scanning my friends and family. And I'm really impressed with all the online learning section and the amount of literature that there is. Yeah, there's a lot of material because Dr. Peter Fraser, who's started to develop it, was very prolific on so many different subjects. And he created this massive body of work. And it's just really what you're learning in the practitioner training is just a drop in the bucket. I mean, it's amazing how much information there is that he created, and Harry Massey, of course, also. And after scanning a handful of people, it seems like most people can benefit from the BFA, which is that is an infaceutical. What does that stand for again? I don't know why.
Big field aligner.
Big field aligner. Oh my God, my brain's fried. I've been talking all day.
So
do you
use 3 fields? So you have 3 axes, right? And the origin should be at your heart, but because of this modern lifestyle that we live, sometimes your origin's over here, we've got to shift it back, because it just makes energy transfer, very difficult when it's shifted. 99% of first-time scanners are going to have BFA.
Yeah, I always have BFA come up because it's also part of grounding. Like BFA grounds your body, and there's actually a field in the scan. There's a screen in the scan that shows you whether you need grounding or not, whether your body is grounded, and if it's not, guess what? Your energy and your communication flow in your body's energy field is not going to be functioning very well. That's why you feel better when you go to the beach, because you're grounding in the sand. That's why you feel good when you swim in the ocean and walk on the earth barefoot, because you're grounding. Your body works better as a result. So yeah, BFA is a big part of the program. So Laurie, where do you get the My Health? So I'll send you a link in the store to the My Health. And you also can do consultation with our practitioners to learn how to use one. There's also master classes that you can go to learn how to use a My Health. There's lots of videos on YouTube. So you can go on YouTube and type in My Health, M-I Health, and learn all kinds of tools and techniques about how to use a My Health and what it's good for. So here's the My Health in the store. I'm going to put that in the show notes here, in the comments. And also I did an interview with Dr. Joe Mercola. I worked with him of Mercola.com for a number of months, teaching him all about NES and how to use his My Health and giving him infaceuticals. And he went to training. He was at the second training that I went to, and he brought his personal physician, Dr. Lee Cowden, who's world famous physician also. And they went to the training. They were really into it. And Joe Mercola actually has 3 My Healths. He's terrified to be without one. Because one time he dropped it, and then he didn't have a backup, and he was flying. And so for him, there's a setting on the My Health called Airplane, and you put it on that, and it protects your body from the radiation when you're flying. Mm-hmm. So he did not want to fly without that setting. So he now he has 3 in My Health, so he always has a backup just in case he breaks it. So I have an interview on youtube.com/Wendy Myers, interviewing Joe Mercola about his experience with NES and the My Health. So I'll put that in the show notes as well, so you guys can check that out. So Melissa, why don't you tell us a little bit about like one of your clients that you just were really amazed with the results on NES Health?
Yeah, so I think I'll talk about one of my clients who has Hashimoto's hypothyroidism. Been working with some of the best functional medicine practitioners around, just wasn't able to make strides. And after 4 treatment cycles with NES, his blood work has completely changed. His diagnostics, the doctors aren't really ready to say that, it's all done. Because they haven't seen this before, but basically all the diagnostics that he's been getting over the last years have completely changed. And he's feeling just fantastic. And I think that is a good, if you've been working biochemically for a long time, I think that has benefited you greatly. And once you start working with NES, you have gotten further along the path. Because typically what I do see with people who respond really quickly with NES is they have been putting a lot of building blocks in. And so when you just bring in that energetic piece, everything just works together really well.
Yeah. I had one client that was just had in a wheelchair, suffering from pain syndromes, and really just wasn't able to function anymore. And she started doing NES, and within about a month, 4 to 6 weeks, she said she was just feeling so much better. She had a dramatic reduction in pain, and she got a couple of her girlfriends doing NES as a result of it. And she was just really, really pleased with how much better she felt. And it gives people hope too, because so many people have gone to so many different doctors and then they go the functional medical route, and they do all these expensive testing. That's great. It's great information, and people make progress with that, taking supplements as opposed to typically medications. And but if you don't have success with that, then a lot of people are very, very thankful when they finally discover NES and make a lot of progress in that regard bioenergetically.
Yep.
Yeah, so let's answer a couple more questions here. And so let's see. So Mary Grace, so you're 5 days in, looking forward to the new journey in healing with Melissa. That's great. And okay, so Blaze, so how long does a bottle of Emfs last? So what's the number of drops per bottle?
So NES actually repackaged the Emfs for the first time, I think in about 10 years recently. So you're actually getting more than you were getting before at the same price point, which is great. Thank you, NES. Yes. So the bottles typically, unless you're on sensitive dosing, they're going to last you about 4 weeks. Yep.
Okay, great. Yeah, and so I think it just depends on how much of the drops that you're taking per day, and it all depends on the person. So, like if you're taking 6 drops a day, I think it's going to last you the full 30 days. Mm-hmm. But now there's more liquid in the bottles. Maybe my calculations are off. But yeah, in the past, if you took 9 drops, it'd last for I think it still lasts for a month, because there's 50% more liquid in them. Right. And if you took 15 drops a day, which a lot of people need to do 15 drops a day, then the bottles last for like three weeks. Mm-hmm. And then I was doing 28 drops a day, because I'm not sensitive typically just supplements or the infoceuticals. So I was just like doing shots of the bottles essentially. And so they last, I think, for about maybe 10 days to 14 days if you're doing 28 drops a day. Yeah, so they, it lasts long enough. I mean, for the majority of people, the infoceutical lasts for the whole month, if not longer.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And so, Jody, so do you need to be off the infoceuticals for a certain period of time before doing the next scan?
That isn't really how I scan. The way that I think about it is, the majority of the field shifts typically happen in about the first 2 weeks, and the second 2 weeks are more for like retraining the body to stay in that new pattern. So, so when you're scanning and you've been taking the infoceuticals, you're not having a lot of shifting going on typically. That's already happened, and you're just making sure. It's kind of like how they say 3 weeks to a new habit. With all of NES's research, they basically said most people 4 weeks is a good, is where they can make the changes and hold the changes going forward. Yep.
Yeah. And I've learned in training that if someone's really, really sick, say if they have cancer or they're just very gravely ill, they might want to just do scans more closely together. So maybe do a scan every 2 weeks, and then just really, hightail that progress for those people that are really gravely ill and they see, really good results. I had a friend of mine that had ovarian cancer, and she was in a tremendous amount of pain, and I sent her on My Health. I was able to send her one, and she had so much less pain as a result of that. Unfortunately, she didn't make it. She was kind of at the end stage, but I want to at least make her as comfortable as possible. But it really helped her a lot in experiencing a lot less pain. But if someone is really sick and has cancer, every 2 weeks is a good pace for scanning. Yeah. And so, Christina, can you please put up the discount offer again? So I've commented again. I posted that again. So it's all caps, Facebook, and then 75, and you'll get $75 off the $299 that we normally charge to be sent the scanner and to do an hour consult with one of our practitioners, including Melissa.
Yeah,
so we have Melissa. Yeah, and you can choose any practitioner you want. You can choose Melissa Hall or Diana White, or if you have pets, you can choose Dr. Michelle Elgersma for your little doggies or kitties or horsies. And so Monique, so hi ladies, love you both. Thank you so much. So glad to hear you write that if you have the My Health that you don't need the infos. So that's actually, you do need the infoceuticals and the My Health. So unfortunately, the My Health does have a lot of amazing settings on it, and you make amazing progress with the My Health, but it doesn't have all the infoceuticals in it. There's about 80 infoceuticals, and those are not all in the My Health. And so they work in conjunction with each other. They can do a little bit different things. So there are some people that only use the My Health in their program, but you typically, most people start with the infoceuticals and we'll add the My Health later to that. And so Peggy, BFA info perked me right up. Thanks from Spokane. Yeah, the BFA, the Big Fill Aligner, does perk people up. I think a lot of people they're very affected by EMFs, by electromagnetic fields. And I'm looking at a cell phone tower right now, a massive cell phone tower just blasting me. But I have I've got my Pure Harmony pendant, so I'm not as affected by EMFs now. That protects me. EMFs really impact our body's energy field. And why is that? It's because our energy field is being manipulated. It's being changed by electromagnetic fields, by microwaves, by radio waves, by the wireless internet, by the coming 5G, which is the faster speed internet. That's going to be just jackhammering our body's energy field. And that's why EMFs make us ill. And some people are completely debilitated by EMFs because it affects your body's communications. So it's not just, there's not a lot of studies about this, but what we know as NES practitioners that your energy field, if you're not able to communicate energetically because of EMFs, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. You're going to be very, very ill. So BFA helps to I don't know, say protect your body from EMFs, but it corrects the damage, some of the damage done by EMF. It helps to ground you. And that's why just BFA alone can really help people to feel better.
Mm-hmm.
So Amanda, so the Heavy Metal Summit was the bomb. Thank you. We've gotten tremendous feedback from it. I've just been, really, really happy with how pleased people were with that summit. And I learned so much, and recently listened to your podcast about infoceuticals and the My Health. What a great modality for healing, and something I definitely need. Yeah, I definitely encourage you to try it. Seeing is believing. We can talk all day long about it and testimonials and things, but seeing is believing. So when you start a NES Health program and you start seeing the results, there's really no going back from that. So Misty, so Wendy, you mentioned recently about a person diagnosed with scleroderma who approached you at a NES training who reported improved symptoms. I'd like to connect with him and invite him to share his story with my Facebook group, Scleroderma and Functional Medicine. I didn't get his name. Unfortunately, I could try to find out. I had a couple conversations with him at an SL training, but I unfortunately didn't get his name, so I wouldn't be able to connect you, but I could try to find out. So Jennifer, so can the scanner be returned if one decides one doesn't want it? Yeah, but we take them back. If you, for whatever reason it's just not your thing or whatever, we're fine to take them back. Not a problem. We've refunded people before. And so Mara, so what about the fact that every time you scan, you get different infoceuticals popping up? So do you need to keep doing the older infos as well, or you keep changing them? So yeah, you just change them. New scan, new infoceuticals. And some people, I just do shots of my old infoceuticals just to use them. I just drink them all up. And then when my new infos show up, and then I start taking those. And so Misty, I've got my Pure Harmony pendant with me too. I love it. Yeah. Misty, I met her in person at the Bulletproof conference, and I was doing a booth there with my friend Robert Marking, and we were telling everyone about the Pure Harmony pendant. This is the Pure Harmony pendant. You go to pureharmonyliving.com to find one, get one yourself. And I met Robert Marking at a NES Health training, at the last one I went to with Joe Mercola, and he harmonized my body's vibrational field. It's another way to work with energy. And I couldn't believe how much better that I felt. I was really taken aback. I had never experienced anything like that. And I was just floating on a cloud at the last NES Health training, and I was really happy. And I've been dealing with. I was living in a moldy house, and I didn't realize that, and I was just having some stress and whatever, and I just felt a lot better, and I was just sat next to Robert Marking, the first person I sat next to at training, and we started talking, and he harmonized me. He harmonized half the room. Half the people at that training, a lot of people were really skeptical. And then they had the same thing. They were buzzing, oh my God, I feel amazing. And so we just had this big party at the NES Health training. It was great. And I met Misty. So I had, at the Bulletproof conference, Robert and I decided to help him with his booth to share his Pure Harmony pendant with people. And it was a huge hit. Just the vibe was crazy. We had hundreds of people, just surrounding our booth. It was one of the busiest booths at the Bulletproof conference. That's Dave Asprey's conference, Bulletproof Coffee. And it was great. So I met Misty there, and she got harmonized, and she was real happy, apparently. So Blaze, so does the My Health ever go on sale? So we do sometimes. We'll probably do to have a My Health sale. So just keep your eyes glued to the newsletter, and then that's when we'll announce any kind of sale. But unfortunately, it doesn't go on sale too often. So Angela, I'm going to try NES. Good for you. Yeah, it's definitely worth trying. And Christine, I heard about the pendant before, but the Heavy Metal Summit sold me on it. I love it. Yeah, it's just the pendant's amazing. I love mine. And do you have one, Melissa?
No, but I'm going to get one.
We'll have to get you one. Yeah, we'll get Robert to send you one. They're awesome. Yeah, awesome. So I recommend those because it's just a different way to work with your body's energy field. It just does something a little bit different. So
I want to float on a cloud.
Yes. Yeah. 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 So why don't we talk a little bit about some of the experiences your clients have had? Talk just anything else that comes to mind of positive results you've had with some of your clients.
Yeah, sure. just as I was thinking about, some of the emotional aspects of some of the patients that I've worked with, I have a young man who came in. I can't even imagine daily panic attacks. If you've ever had one, if you can imagine having those every day for 4 years, I mean, just the anxiety over waiting for that next one to come. And he's doing everything a person can do to be healthy, mitigating his environments and grounding, earthing, meditating, just could not get rid of them. And with his first NES treatment cycle, he has had no more panic attacks. So that's an example of somebody who had a quick change, which, as we mentioned, isn't the norm. It's, we kind of have that bell curve. He would be on the outside, but just really profound. And sometimes those emotional shifts, like you were talking about with the liver detox, you were curled up in bed and processing all these emotions. He really didn't feel much of anything. I tell people, like, you can experience it along a spectrum. Sometimes, you're lucky and it just goes on its own, all the way to, for me, when I was processing some really deep traumas, I would have some nightmares. I had a kind of a cycle of purging a deep trauma, and every time it came up to be processed, it was a little less acute. Nightmares, then weird dreams, then emotions, and then gone.
That's the thing I noticed when I first started NES, is that I started having really vivid dreams. And I hadn't been having dreams for a while because I was just sleeping terribly, like crap, like, most people today, a lot of people, and a lot of my clients coming to me aren't sleeping very well. But that's what I noticed, is I started sleeping more deeply. And when you sleep, you start getting that restorative sleep. Yep. You remember your dreams. And I was so thankful that I was finally dreaming again. Some of that I had a couple nightmares myself, but a part of the process of doing this and releasing emotional traumas is that it comes out in your dreams. You process the stuff in your dreams, and a lot easier than therapy, I have to say. To get rid of these traumas.
Myself, I had been to therapy for like 20 years, but some of that subconscious stuff, talk therapy doesn't get in there. So when brainstem hologram comes up, I'm like, all right, we're getting to some goods.
Yeah, because a lot of traumas people have had, they're not always consciously aware of them, or they're not always aware of how these traumas and emotional issues are driving their behavior, or driving their addictions, or driving their compulsions and behaviors. And in doing NES Health, you can address those things without really just taking the Emfs and doing the My Health, without really like working on it and going to therapy. And therapy is great. Talk therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy, other modalities are amazing, but very expensive, very lengthy, not always terribly effective. But great to get to know yourself a little bit more through therapy. But, really getting to that root cause and releasing that emotional trauma. I've had clients quit smoking after 4 months on NES. I've had heard at the training, we had one lady, she put her dad on it. He quit drinking, 20 years of drinking. He just stopped after a few months. He just didn't desire it anymore. That emotional trauma driving that addiction, if that root cause isn't there, people don't reach for that crutch anymore. And so NES Health is wonderful for addictions in that respect, and for so many other mental health issues.
Yeah, exactly. It gets in places, NES gets in places that other things can't get. And I just, the mind screen is just amazing. And especially that trauma area, there's a special area on the mind screen dedicated to trauma, and releasing sort of different themes of trauma, which get stored in different areas of the brain. So I just threw up brainstem because that's our old part of the brain, our subconscious. It's our deepest vulnerabilities. And so I really love when that one comes up, because I know that means some big beliefs are going to shift, which can make huge changes in people's lives, like addiction and lots of other behaviors that we have, or even fears or anxiety, panic attacks that are being driven from a place that we don't know how to tap into otherwise.
Yeah. Yeah. And I had one of my clients, she came in, her son had a brain injury. He's a little boy, 4 years old. And she'd just been trying different things and thinking, oh, well, maybe detox. Maybe he needs a detox, and just really trying to help him. And she said that after she actually became a NES practitioner because she was so blown away with her son's results. But she said that but her son, he was tripping a lot. He had to wear a helmet all the time because he was tripping all the time, and the tripping reduced by 90%. He had a massive increase in his safety as a result of that. And he had one of his hands wasn't really working so well, and he had dramatic improvement in ability to pick up small objects. So his fine motor skills improved, and his tantrums reduced by about 70%, making life a lot easier for her as a mom. And she said emotionally he started doing a lot better, and just became a NES health practitioner herself, so she could continue his protocol in NES. And so just a lot of just really amazing stories like that. I had one client that was 50 years old, been HIV positive for about 30 years. She'd been on a variety of HIV meds throughout the years, and she started scanning and doing NES Health, and her main complaints were like left side fungal ear infection that had been draining and irritated for a year. She'd been having hearing loss in that ear. Fungal drops weren't working. Nothing was working. She'd been having hot flashes, and she started taking, BFA and some other infoceuticals. And said today she's reporting the ear infection has dried up. She thinks it's completely gone. She can hear out of the ear totally fine now. Her hot flashes are a lot better, and she's a lot more energy. And so just really great results with clients. And NES is also amazing for immune system issues.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of times, immune system malfunction is really rampant in our society for a number of reasons. So autoimmune diseases are the fastest growing subset of diseases right now. And there's a lot of things working against our immunity, our diet, all the sugar we're eating, but also vaccinations. I think vaccines train our immune systems improperly and damage it. And that's why so many children today have allergies and asthma and autoimmune diseases. That's why we're having so many cancers. Our immune systems can't kill the tumor cells. And so we have a lot of food sensitivities and allergies. And I have some clients coming to me, they can't eat but 5 different foods. I mean, they have no life. They can't eat anything or touch anything or take any supplements, and they can't get better. They can't do any of the functional medical approaches, and they spend all this money on testing, and none of it helps them because they can't do any of the protocols. And so NES Health is amazing because it corrects immune system functioning. There's a whole screen on NES in the scan that you do, where you look at and evaluate your immune system functioning and correct immune system functioning. It's amazing the results that people get. They can eat more foods. Their autoimmune diseases start to improve, if not totally eliminate. They have just a lot of different markers that they recognize where their allergies aren't as severe, or they get rid of their allergies completely. Their asthma has a dramatic reduction in that, or they have total resolution of their asthma. Just a lot of amazing stories.
Yeah, and I tell people out of the 80 infoceuticals that we have that whole screen, that's 16 infoceuticals there, dedicated completely to immunity, not to mention we have a couple of other infoceuticals around this system. So that's like 25% of the infoceuticals just dedicated to immune function, because that's how important it is to our wellness, right?
Yeah, I love the cold flu immunity infoceutical.
Yes.
And it's something that you can get. It's one you can just buy without doing a NES Health protocol. But it's called for cold flu and immunity. And I've taken it a number of times. I've had, maybe in the last couple of years, felt like I was starting to get sick about 3 times. And I took the cold flu immunity on day 1 when I felt like I was starting to get sick, and it was just gone. I mean, and I've just heard this 100 times of people doing the CFI, or cold flu immunity infoceutical, and their cold just going away, the symptoms completely going away, or doing on the My Health, or just setting on the My Health for it as well. And I just do that. I put the My Health on my feet. and just really get into the meridians in that way. And I had one day where my nose was just running all day long, and then you have that feeling in your chest, and you just not feel tired, and you're like, here we go. But then I remembered to do my Health, the CFI by My Health. And then within 20 minutes, my nose had completely stopped running. And I mean, it's just, NES Health still continues to surprise me. I mean, because you just don't see this kind of stuff with taking zinc or taking certain supplements. I mean, sometimes sure you do, but just the results I see with NES, I continue to get really, really excited about it and really, really hopeful for people, because it's just so profound how well NES works.
Absolutely. I recently had a client who had been struggling, with a respiratory infection for like 3 weeks. And we did a scan, and the ET6, which is the one you're talking about, the cold, flu, and immunity came up for him, and we sent him out the infoceuticals, and he said 3 days on it, and he was completely, and it wasn't like, oh, he was already getting better. He felt as bad as he had been feeling, and then he woke up the next day and felt great.
Yeah. It's just amazing. I just love NES so much, and I'm really thankful that I found it, and I'm also thankful that I'm able to share it with all of you guys. And I'll be honest, I was a little bit concerned that people might be like, oh, that's so woo woo. Or what's the science behind it? Or people would be kind of doubting my credibility by offering NES or talking about NES Health to people, because it's so different from our paradigm, from how we think in terms of how the body works and how the body heals. Because so many people, there's definitely, we have the whole, manual of all the diagnoses and all the diseases, and people love their doctors and they want to go to the doctor to get a diagnosis and then take a pill to fix it. And we have this paradigm that clearly is not working. We have a paradigm, our conventional medical system is amazing in so many ways, all the advances and the things that we're learning, and the technology and the genes and the gene splicing and all this stuff that we're doing. But there's a fundamental component that's missing. There's a lot of things that don't work in it. There's a lot of very sick people out there. A lot of people they get sicker and sicker and sicker from conventional medicine. And, and I, talk a lot about detoxification. And I was concerned at first about, talking about NES Health and becoming a voice for NES Health, because it can be a little woo-woo. It sounds a little weird, but seeing is believing. And the proof is in the pudding. When I don't need like 100 clinical trials, so for instance, like coffee enemas, there's not a lot of studies on that, but they work amazing. So for NES Health, NES Health has done a number of studies, a lot of amazing studies that I can talk about. I probably should bring that up. I'd have to search for the data, but they've done a number of studies that have unbelievable results. Like, for instance, correlation of people's physical symptoms to the scan. There's an 87% correlation of the things that people see in the scan to their actual known symptoms that they know that they have. And people are always really, really surprised, like, wow, that's really spot on.
Yeah, they'll be like, ooh, that thing saw me. It knows me.
Yeah.
It's like, well, yeah, we just talked to you. That's what you do when you send your scan. Yeah. We're talking to your body. Yeah.
Because the scan never lies. I mean, the scan always knows what's going on with you. And like, there was one guy at the training. There was a guy. I won't say his name, but he said that he did a scan. He did a few scans, and his heart, like everything on his heart, was blocked. Yes. It was a high priority in his heart. And then he went to the doctor and had an evaluation. He needed a quadruple bypass. Yep. On his heart. So doing the scan saved his life, because he said he wasn't really symptomatic. He was just a little bit tired, and he was probably at risk of having a heart attack at any moment because he was so blocked up. And so then the scan knows, and the scan doesn't always pick up everything, but there is an 87% correlation there.
Well, sometimes I think we're looking at deeper patterns. The scan's kind of weighing out, do I make forward progress towards resolving some of these deeper patterns, and I need to consider what's currently going on and whether that person needs some support with that. So I think the scan can be a combination of those things,
Yeah. So let's go back to answering some questions. So let's see, where did my mouse go? So Mara, so is Mitotox a NES product or a product that you made with the NES people? So it is a NES Health product. And so no mystery there, but it's specifically for your mitochondria. And so it really helps to detox the mitochondria to restore cell function and give you a little bit more energy production. And that's why I use it in my mitochondria detox little supplement, package to help people detox their cells and detox the toxic metals that interfere in energy production. So the Mitotox, I wanted to add some bioenergetics in there with detoxification of the mitochondria, because I think it'll give people a little bit of energy, get them feeling better, and get their cells and their mitochondria working better, which is the whole point. So that's why I created call it Mitotox. It's for detoxing your mitochondria. And so Mara, should everyone use Pectosol C along with NES? Because it is definitely detoxing heavy metals. So we have a little NES Health supplement package that people can take, just a couple, 3 little things that will help them. And Pectosol C is one of them, because I think it's really important for people to take binders, because when you're doing a NES Health program, you're detoxing your body. It's facilitating detox, you're releasing chemicals, you're releasing metals. It's really getting rid of things that are damaging your body's energy field and improving your body's metabolism and how much better it works. Your liver works better, your digestion works better, really gets things moving. So you start releasing metals and people can have detox reactions. So taking the Pectosol C or any type of binder is a really good idea to absorb metals and chemicals that are being released from tissues while you're doing the program. So yeah, I highly recommend it. And we have a product on the store. It's called the NES Supplements Kit, I believe. And so, not something it's just totally optional, but it's something that you can take. It just some Oceans Alive, which pretty much gives you every nutrient your body requires, gives you some magnesium. Everyone should be taking magnesium every single day. And the Pectosol C, which is the binder. These are just the super, super basics that I recommend that anyone take that are trying to look after their health. And I think there are things that people kind of miss. I'll do it. I'll add this in the comments section. So this is the NES Health supplement kit, but it's a good basic supplement kit for anyone that's trying to improve their health. And I really like the Oceans Alive because it gives you all the nutrients and vitamins and minerals that your body needs. It's just a little plankton, and it tastes horrible. I mean, it tastes like the ocean floor, but it's really good for you. But a lot of people want to take a natural food-based supplement. But the food-based supplements have, 50, 100 different ingredients in them. And a lot of people, they just can't tolerate all those different foods. So the Oceans Alive is a plankton. And I've never heard of anyone even reacting to it or not tolerating it. So I think it's a great multivitamin, multi-mineral for people to take. And so some of the other questions here. So Zora, so could you provide the ordering information again, please? So all you have to do is look in the comments and you'll see the coupon code Facebook 75, all caps, and the link to get the NES Health program product in the store to buy the scanner. And so Misty, I just ordered the NES. Thanks for the info and the coupon code. I'm looking forward to learning more. Yay. I'm glad you're trying it, Misty, because I know you've been following us for a while and, following my work for a while. And so I'm glad you finally, took the leap of faith to try NES. So I think you're going to find it, really, really, really profound. So the guy that you were talking about before that had the connective tissue disorder, he had, I don't know if he had scleroderma, but he had a pretty severe connective tissue disorder. He had it was an autoimmune disease, and he said he suffered from it for 18 years, and his hands were all kind of gnarled up. He obviously had a lot of physical damage from his health issues and from the autoimmune disease. And he said he had it for 18 years. He started doing NES. All of his symptoms cleared up. Like he put the autoimmune disease totally in remission. He was still left with the scars and the physical disfigurement from that, but he said he's the disease isn't going to be progressing because he doesn't have it anymore. It's in remission. And so those are the kind of stories that you hear at the training. Are there any that you heard, Melissa, when you were at training that were really touched you?
I think, and you probably heard about this, but there was a fellow who came to training who was a war veteran from Vietnam and had suffered with PTSD, flashbacks, the whole thing for 30 years or more. And he did his first NES treatment cycle while he was there at class and treated himself with the My Health and was able, he just sat and cried and processed that trauma. And he said he felt like he was reborn again the next day. I mean, that's one of the biggest ones I can think of.
Yeah.
But like you said, almost every person you see there is there because they've had a personal experience, whether with themselves or their child. Speaking of which, one of the ladies who was sitting next to me at conference was telling me that her grandson was born with autism, and he's 24 years old today, and getting his PhD at Harvard.
Wow.
And she attributes it all to NES.
Wow.
NES has been around for a long time. She was a very early adopter. They started treating him early on, and he is a fully functioning, individual today, socially, mentally.
Oh, wow.
And the way that NES sees autism is very different. It's about processing speeds, about whether, that communication that's going on in our field is happening at the right pace, because you need a balance. It can be too fast. It can be too slow. So if it's happening too quickly, then people feel very overwhelmed at everything.
And overstimulated.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And if it's too slow, you get bored, right? So, NES looks at it from a processing speed perspective and tries to balance that out, which I think is just completely different than anything I'd ever heard about it.
Yeah, and I think people don't realize NES has been around for 15 years. It's not something that was just, been around for a few years. There's 30 years of research prior to that, trying to figure it out, and then mapping the human body field and then putting that into a software system and then tweaking all that. And so then there's 15 years of, like I said, the company being founded by Harry Massey and Dr. Peter Fraser, and then developing the software system, developing the pharmaceuticals, developing the My Health, which took 6 years, took a team of engineers and all kinds of people to develop that. And so that's 45 years total of the, invention or development of NES Health. So there's a lot there. It's really incredible when you start digging into it. You're like, oh my God, there's so much to learn.
Yeah. Well, and Peter Fraser was a traditional Chinese medical physician, right? So he had been doing acupuncture for 20 plus years before he even embarked on his NES journey. That's kind of what fueled the fire for him. Is he's like, I know TCM works. I know acupuncture works. I want to understand more about it. And he started learning quantum physics. I mean, clearly he was brilliant, but he really said, I know these meridians work. And that's kind of the birthplace. I love it when I get to one of the screens where we look at the 12 meridians. I kind of think of like, that was, the birthplace of the system, but he discovered so much more in that journey.
Yeah, he was very prolific. I mean, he opened the first accredited acupuncture school in Australia, and he had that for about 14 years. Then he started getting chronic fatigue, and he started seeking answers. The acupuncture wasn't helping him, so he started seeking further answers to essentially try to cure himself of his chronic fatigue, and he succeeded. And then Harry Massey was looking for answers to try to cure his chronic fatigue he had for 6-7 years. And then he somehow found Peter Fraser, and then resolved his chronic fatigue. So it's amazing. Anyone suffering from chronic fatigue or very serious health issues, NES is just there really isn't anything out there that works better. I don't think.
Didn't work great for me.
Yeah, I know. There's a lot of people that have been sick for a long time that finally find NES and find something that's working for them. And so let's see if there's any more questions here. So Elena Pop, hi, how are you? So love Melissa and Wendy, great job. Thanks so much to both of you. And so, yeah, so there's no more questions here. So I think we're going to wrap this up. We've been talking, oh my God, an hour and a half. I can't believe we've been talking that long.
We love this.
Yeah, we do. We love this. Yeah, I mean, I can keep talking about it forever because I love it so much. And that's why, I want almost a big advocate for NES, and I love talking about it. I love sharing NES. I love teaching people about NES because I think there's a lot of doubts people have. There's a lot of hurdles. People, like I said before, they want to know what the science is, or they want to learn all the stuff about it before they're willing to try it. And I just urge people to just try it for a few months, because the seeing is believing. The proof's in the pudding, and I try to recommend to people not get too hung up on going online and reading all the negative things, and just people will find stuff and turn them off to it, and they won't even try it. They just try to talk themselves out of it. So I just urge people to try to just move past that and just try it for yourself. And because there's a reason there's thousands of NES health practitioners around the world, lots of medical doctors that are health practitioners, and it's not massage therapists or people with crystals, things like that using NES health. There's a lot of incredible practitioners and medical doctors using NES health for a reason. There's one of the training, he's a plastic reconstructive surgeon that uses NES health with his patients, because he said they have 50% faster healing time. They have much less pain. He basically takes burn victims and reconstructs their faces, and he uses NES health in his practice. He has to keep it kind of on the down low because, a lot of his other ignorant doctor friends will poo-poo it, or, but he uses it with his patients because it works. He just wants to help his patients. So that's just one example of a medical doctor that's, using NES in his practice. So I just urge you to just try it for yourself. And if anyone is looking or wanting to read some of the research, I'll put on here neshealth.com/research. Very simple, so that you can go and read all the studies yourself that NES Health has done on a variety of things. Pain, they've done studies on anxiety, on gluten sensitivity, fibromyalgia study. There's a lot of different studies that they've done that you can check out for yourself. So I'll put that link in the comments. And everyone, we're going to stop here. We've been talking for a long time, and thank you so much for joining us. So appreciate all of your questions and just your interest in joining us. So thank you so much. And again, if you want to try it for yourself, there's a link in the comments to try NES Health for yourself. You just have to buy a scanner. It's $2.99. Use coupon code Facebook75, all caps, to get $75 off. And thank you guys so much for joining us. And this is Melissa Hall. So you can choose any practitioner you want. You can choose Melissa or Diana White. We have 2 new ones that are coming soon. And so when you purchase your scanner, we'll send you a scan, send you the scanner, and then you can choose your practitioner to, whoever you choose to do your scan. So thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, Wendy.